My colleagues discuss the dynamic and relational process by which models of co-creation emerge, grow to maturity, and then are spread to other jurisdictions. This is based on an international case study looking at examples of co-production from around the world. What is striking in all these cases is how the co-creative aspects in these examples are first driven by a small group of passionate individuals, and second, come to be deeply embedded within community relationships. Third, how they continue to be fueled by an ever-expanding social network within health systems and communities. Other considerations that are discussed are the need to challenge existing power structures and recognize the expertise of equity-deserving groups in service development.
So what is unique here? So the Sowing and Growing Model emphasizes the shift in power balance and power relations between people who we commonly identify as service users and service providers. It brings everyone together at a level playing field to develop, sustain, and propagate any innovation. People with lived experience are the driving force behind the development of these models and their subsequent growth. They would not expand if the models weren't meaningful to the people with lived experience and who are experienced experts. The importance of communities in developing and sustaining these innovations was also a key thing that we found throughout our interviews. Each started within a community with passionate individuals willing to do the work to bring the model to life, to sustain it and to turn it into and to propagate it in turn to support the adoption process elsewhere. So that brings us to a question and for us to consider in the upcoming co-production work that we're going to do is whether these communities, do all the individuals get the same opportunity to give input in development of these models? Do we need to more intentionally consider the voices of the equity-deserving groups?
So a common theme, and something that we've heard a lot over the past day and morning, is the concept of power. And that's one thing that we noticed in the Sowing and Growing model that was different from usual whatever we found in the literature on how these things diffuse. And so what we found was that there are many different ways to understand what power is. And one thing we saw is that power can be knowledge, or really who gets to define what knowledge or expertise is. And so we found that the Sowing and Growing model reflects how participants have challenged this worldview of traditional researchers and things as experts. And we've really wholly embraced the notion that lived experience is equal to this traditional knowledge, and lived experience is expertise. And by acknowledging this, we can see how power is being shifted to equity-deserving groups to understand, to really take into account their experiences in the service development. And so another thing that we've noticed in all of our discussions, and even today, we've heard this being described as a movement. And this emphasizes that relational aspect of the Sowing and Growing model. Through sharing and making connections, communities of support are built to eventually create this social movement that's growing beyond its source. And it supports the model's growth from the initial site and in its propagation to other sites as well.